This is how I tricked hundreds of millions of people to watch my IG shorts. A lot of people seem to think that getting views is all about numbers, retention rate, this, that, but it's a lot deeper than that. And in this video, I am going to explain these psychological aspects that play into people consuming content, specifically short format content. Buckle the fuck up if you want to grow on Instagram or YouTube or any of these platforms. This is going to be one of the best videos you've ever watched in your existence on this earth, on this rock. Video is captivation, and the ability to captivate somebody is purely psychological, just like anything else in this world. People seem to think that content creation is about editing, this, that. It's really not. At the base of it, it's human psychology. Humans have 5 sensory faculties: smell, touch, taste, hearing, and vision. I don't know if those are the technical terms, but that's what they are. Video activates 2 of those: the sight faculty and the auditory faculty. Any video that goes viral, it activates these faculties on a high level. So there are many ways we could do this, but I'm going to keep it very, very simple. I'm going to give you guys 5 points to really go off of. So number 1, relatability. When someone hears or sees something relatable, they stop right in their tracks. It makes them think, I've been through that situation. I want to see what happens to that person in the same situation that I've been through. That being said, we can pretty much relate to everybody to a certain extent. We've all walked outside. We've all drank water. We've all slept, right? You have to take it a layer deeper. What do I mean by that? So making a video saying I went on a walk outside is relatable. Everybody's walked outside. It doesn't touch that deep side of them. So how does one become more relatable? It's very simple. You specify. Saying I walked outside versus saying I walked outside at 9 p.m. in Medellin, Colombia, and I got robbed are 2 different relatable stories. If someone was in the same situation as you in Medellin, Colombia, getting robbed, they will stop in their tracks. No question, 1000%. That is the point here. You want to get ultra specific, and you will make the brain think, I went through this. I wonder what happened to him. Our brains love relating to people. They want to know, how am I different from this person? We went through the same thing. What was their outcome? Humans are very tribal by nature. They like relating. They like people that are similar to them. So if you can make a story ultra specific, you can get people to stop in their tracks that went through the same situation. Be relatable. Get ultra specific. Get people to be like, fuck, I can relate to this guy. I've been through the same situation. The better you can describe their situation, the more relatable it's gonna be. Okay, number 2, things that conflict with one another. What do I mean by that? When something conflicts with your entrenched beliefs, your brain thinks, what the fuck is going on here? I need to stop and listen till the end so I can understand why this person's saying this thing is like this, when my entire life I thought it was like that, okay? So I'll give you a very specific example. If somebody hops on a video and says, the reason you're getting fat and out of shape is because you work out too much, your brain is immediately gonna snap into action and be like, what is going on here? I've heard my entire life exercising is good. That's all anybody ever preached. Exercise is good. It helps you stay in shape. Why is this person going against years and years and years of conditioning? I need to understand why. I need to watch this so the loop doesn't keep going in my mind. You pretty much create a loop when you conflict with things that have been conditioned in someone for years on end. So then the video could go on and say, exercise is making you fat. Here's the reason. Because when you exercise too much, you get way hungrier and overindulge, thus exceeding your caloric limit, thus making you fat. And that is a pretty solid argument. The hook is so captivating, it's so conflicting, it makes the brain stop and want to understand why. So the key with this is not just to make irrelevant claims. It has to make sense, but still conflict at the same time. You want the brain to think, why is this person going against what I've been told my entire life? And that's the psychology of confliction. It's your brain wanting to understand what is going on here. Why is this different from what I've learned my entire life? Number 3, familiar environments. Our brains love familiar environments, and specifically outside. Most of my viral videos have been made outside, and there's a very distinct reason for that. For most of human life, we've lived outside. Only in the last 5,000 years have we moved into cities and buildings and this and that. For most of our existence, we've been outside, going from land to land, sleeping outside, eating outside, hunting outside, doing everything outside. So when you make a video in a familiar environment outside, everybody can relate to the outdoors versus in a random kitchen. Guess which one's going to do better? The one that is outside. It's not only familiar because people go outside every single day, but it's entrenched within our psychology to want to be outside because of years and years of conditioning from our ancestors. Biology is very slow to change. We still are creatures of the outdoors. That's why cabin fever is a thing. We feel like shit when we stay inside too long because our body is biologically designed to be outside. So if you can make your videos in the outdoors, whether it's in front of some trees, by an ocean, in the mountains, it's a very familiar environment for the brain. The brain wants to stop. The brain wants to look. The brain wants to be like, what's going on here? This environment I really enjoy. I like a lot. I'm going to watch the rest of this video. Every single video I do outside performs way better than the ones I do inside. And there's a very psychological reason for that, what I just discussed previously. So when you're making your videos, try to think, where can I do this where it's going to be familiar to the human brain, specifically in the outdoors if you can. Number 4, contrasted colors. The more contrast we have in our videos with our outfits, the more the brain is going to stop and think, what is going on here? What is that? And there's a very specific reason for that. Looking at contrasted colors has been entrenched in us biologically from our ancestors because it was a survival mechanism. What do I mean by that? High contrast equals danger or opportunity in nature. When our ancestors saw high contrast, they immediately focused in on it because it did not blend in with the environment. This could have been red blood on grass. That's danger. Our brain wants to understand the differences rather than the similarities. Why is something like this sticking out so much? What is going on here? Why does this not blend in with the environment? The more you can contrast, the more viewership you will get. Whether they know it or not, they're stopping because it's almost a survival mechanism. They're understanding what's going on here. Next time you're making a video, think, how can I be contrasted with my outfits, with my background? How do I stick out and trigger to the brain there's something going on here? Last but not least, we're going to talk about sounds. High-pitched sounds and abrupt noises signal to the brain that there is a danger. Sounds could be alarms, screams, glass breaking, or babies crying. Sounds like these trigger the amygdala, which is the fear center of the brain. Once you hear sounds like these, your brain snaps into alertness. Rising pitches and volume can also create the same response. Imagine footsteps getting closer or a growling animal getting louder. This is why we use risers in videos. Content creation isn't about editing. It's not about this. It's not about that. It's literally about human psychology, how we've been wired for years and years and years, and how you can use that to your advantage.